Hello to all. Today I'll be talking about the causation of existentialism in that of European history. First thing that comes to mind when you hear the word existentialism, for me, Dan Howell is probably the first that comes to mind. Dan Howell, whilst known for other things, is known for having an existential crisis from time to time. Furthermore, when talking about existentialism, one must know the definition of said topic well. According to the father of existentialism is that the individual has the sole responsibility for giving one's own life meaning and living passionately and sincerely in spite of many obstacles and distractions including despair, angst, absurdity, choice, boredom, and death. Existentialism was developed as a reaction to the social situation occurring, also known as World War I and II. The era has been experiencing a lack of respect for human life and dignity, but existentialism became a way to reassert the importance of individuality and freedom in the years of post-World Wars. Also, many of the existential thinkers had diagnosed the diseases towards the movement of the modern world. An example being the German poet Goethe, whom was doubtful towards the progressive trends of the 19th century. How did existentialism affect that of the arts? Existentialism had a major influence on that of expressionism that began in 20th century Germany, where the art was based mainly off of subjective experience, angst, and intense emotionality. Some examples of this said expressionism as Stormtroopers Advancing Under Gas by Otto Dix, A Canadian Factory by Percy Wyndham Lewis, and Study for Sappers at Work by David Bohnberg. And of philosophy, major names such as Søren Kierkegaard, Friedrich Nietzsche, Martin Heidegger, Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Albert Camus, just to name a few. In Germany, existential philosophers were criticized for being obscure, abstract, and mystical in nature, while in France, they were criticized by those newly influenced by structuralism, mainly stating they paid insufficient attention to the nature of language and impersonal structure of meaning. In short, most branches or types of philosophy went their own ways. Within the realm of psychology, the view of existentialism was seen mainly as an alternative towards the Freudian map of the human psyche. This led to existentialistic psychologists attempting to avoid pinpointing labels upon their patients. It was that of Satter's work that led to this viewpoint in psychology, in which he said that man deceives itself when he hides from freedom and that man is free. It just depended on the value that man chooses to live by. But over in the world of criminology, instead of something being changed or edited, something was added. A sociologist by the name of Jack Katz added this layer: the investigation of the relationship between emotions and deviant behavior. Thus this was a change from the Enlightenment movement, in which theories such as control theory, rational choice theory and situational crime prevention theories due to the movement's focus on man's rationality/lack of. Katz changed criminology by being able to explain why crimes such as shoplifting and vandalism were being committed. A field of which I wouldn't expect to be affected by existentialism is education. While the education we know of has a curriculum with guidelines to meet, the main aims of existentialistic education were to help students understand and appreciate themselves as unique individuals who accept complete responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, and actions. To educate the whole person, not just mind, but emotions as well, and to help the learner become fully their authentic self. Also, it allowed teaching methods to evolve in which they realize that dialogue stimulates awareness, in which each person creates self-concepts through their own choices. The role of the learner was to freely choose what subjects they wanted to study as long as they had an interest in it, and to define their own essence or meaning of life, while the teacher's role was as a questioner, to point out different alternatives but also to help the individual identify and know themselves better. Even though film has only been around for about a century, film has also been affected by existentialism. There's the existentialism in reverse type films, in which the main character is having a conflict in which he finds himself in a series of events where he questions his life and values, then by the end, has recovered purpose and/or a sense of values. The film The Magnificent Seven falls into this category due to the fact they reflect and question a lot on their lives. Then there's the existentialism through experience films. This is where the hero or heroine questioning morality, daring to question moralities and norms of society. And lastly, there's social existentialism, in which revolves around how characters relate within society. French films really dominate this genre. Les Miserables is a known film of this subgenre. In short, existentialism has affected many fields from criminology to that of film. It's changed and altered a lot of things, but it has made me think of the domino effect. Because all this was mainly a reaction in a time where everywhere anyone looked, all they saw was negativity.